something I always strive for. You always want to have respect of your team, and then also from the competition.
James Yurichuck, born and raised in Brampton, played university at Bishops, 4th overall in the 2009 CFL draft, Grey Cup champion in 2011 with the BC Lions, founder and CEO of Wuxly, has been growing exponentially year over year. What a great story of hard work, will, and commitment.
Thank you, buddy. Well, it's I always had great people around me, surrounding me, and so I've been lucky to get an opportunity to play university and football in the pros, and again, it's owed to the team around me and the support I had, including you, for some of the successes we've had at Wuxly.
A lot of people don't understand is how you've always been a hardworking individual, and unless people know you personally, I don't think they can attest to, how hard you work, especially when no one's watching. And I've seen that firsthand before when, we used to, when you used to teach me how to do power cleans back when I was in high school, right? That work ethic, I still remember that. And because when you got drafted, to me, it was like, it wasn't a surprise, because I'm like, if he doesn't get drafted, I don't know who else will.
Thank you.
Just by the work ethic. And I remember and then I think we also briefly saw each other at the 2011 Grey Cup event, because that was the same weekend the Vanier Cup when I was there.
Yeah, it's a good year for us. It's a good year for Tanvir and James.
Brampton boys, right?
Yeah.
No, I think again, just before, right off the bat, the work ethic that you've had, that I've seen, I think is something that for everyone that's listening on this call and this video, is something to strive for, because I've seen it firsthand, the amount of success you can have if you just work hard.
And the respect's mutual. I see you on your Instagram stories, waking up at 5 a.m. and getting the day going. Gets me motivated. I'm like, hey, I can't let Tanvir wake up earlier than me every day. So when I woke up today, I texted Tanvir. I had to beat Tanvir what time you woke up.
That's amazing. Before we jump into your story, James, walk me through what you're doing right now. So what's happening at Wuxly?
Yeah, so just like every business around the world, we've been hit with the COVID situation, and so right when it hit, we kind of we knew we were going to be hit hard, and it was kind of a scary moment for our team, because there's so much changing rapidly. There was a lot of employees around Canada and around the world getting laid off, but we stick to our core values, and one of the core values is team. And so I just we're only a small team, but the people who are with us, I committed to them. I said, hey guys, don't worry, we're gonna cut through COVID and make something happen. So I committed to my team earlier in about a week or two, when people realize this isn't just a 1 or 2 or 1 week thing. There's going to be a few months, but I'm like, hey, I told my team, I'm like, hey, as long as you see this mug around the office, everyone's going to be good. And so it didn't look good for the first couple of weeks after that, in all honesty, because that was one of the most important time of the year, when all the retail buying was happening. We'd wound up all these retailers, Sport Chek, Nordstrom, some other big box to buy our product for next year, and everyone just kind of put their hands in their pockets, because they didn't know what was going on either. And that put us in a really tough position with the banks and everything. They wanted to know what was going on with our business, because we're a bootstrap company, and so we have to answer to the powers at the bank. And so shortly after that, there was a call a call of country from the government, and they were looking for Canadian manufacturers to help support with the PPE needs in Canada to support our frontline heroes. And so, of course, we raised our hands. It's our honor to support in that. And we quickly mobilized our team of manufacturers. Uh, we quickly learned the nuances of making PPE, and that team that we committed to earlier is, it was great that we kept them on because um, we had a team of pattern designers, logistics, operation managers, and we've soon found that we're well catered to make PPE production in Canada. So we started servicing medical companies, and the government asked us to make quite a bit of medical gowns, and so we've been busy doing that for the last month and a half, and it's kept the team really busy, and everyone's it's exciting work because we're helping, and it's keeping us all busy at this time. So we're full gear into that while we still run our core business. We're getting ready for another great fall and winter season with our jackets, but we're also using this opportunity to relook at our brand and our offerings, and because
Yeah.
everything's just going to change on the other side of COVID. And so we're looking at that and see how we will maneuver with all the happenings right now.
I think I've been taking notes, and you touched on, I think, 3 or 4 key concepts there. So this is amazing, James. Can you share what Wuxly has been able to do over the last 3 years in terms of how you've grown and some figures?
Yeah, so we started the brand off in 2015 just through a Kickstarter campaign. Uh, we were actually called Mammoth Outerwear at the time.
Yeah.
And, what our offering was to begin with was a Canadian-made jacket. And just coming from a sustainable household, I wanted to get something that was animal-free. We always just loved, we had a dog. My mom used to take spiders outside with her napkins, so I don't want to use fur and feathers in my jacket.
Remember the dog? It was a white dog. Or
Yeah,
golden
yeah,
retriever.
Daisy.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my training partner out in the field. And so, we started off that with a Kickstarter campaign. It was $80,000 back in November 2015, and I was playing football at the time. And the next year, we around tripled our sales. I'm like, oh, we might have something here. And I was like about 8 years in my CFO career, and I made a decision at that point. Football had been a great vehicle for me, and built so much of who I am today and the foundation. But I knew that we had an opportunity, but to make anything of that opportunity, I had to focus. I had 2 kids at home, and so splitting it between family, the Wuxly business, and football, I was just kind of being, come see, come saw at everything. So I wanted to focus on family and this business, and got into it. We kept on, tripling each season, and
Wow.
I was able to surpass and to the double comma club last or 2 years ago, and so turned it into $1 million business, and been growing from there, and selling into 20 retailers across the country and in US.
I've heard so many people say I don't have time to do something, or I'm too busy. Like, you were playing full-time football, which is a job and a half in itself. You started a business that was bootstrapped. You grew it 3x year over year, and you hit 7 figures. That, to me, is one of the most amazing entrepreneurial feats I've seen in the Canadian scene in the past 5-6 years. That's something that I think a lot of people can learn from. I think you mentioned a couple of great things when you were talking about the coaching piece. The key thing you mentioned was that your team was still with you during COVID. And the reason for that was your leadership. I think a lot of people don't realize how big of an impact leaders have on their teams, and how the way you talk, the way you motivate people, the way you treat people, all has a huge impact on the outcome. So what is something that you've taken from football from a leadership standpoint that has helped you, especially in this very volatile environment where you've had funding, you've had all these retailers lined up, and COVID hit, and your entire plan is flipped around and gone to waste? How did football teach you leadership that you now used, and how can other people use that?
I think playing on a football team is just amazing. You know, we see everything that's happening in the world right now. You know, the U.S. and everything, and that's what I really loved about football. It's every culture, every race, every size, every gender, anyone can play. It's a sport that everyone can play, and when you play on a football team, you really do get everything. It's like a human laboratory, and you gotta be able to interact with people from all walks of life, and you know you learn to respect people from all walks of life. You know, you and I growing up in Brampton, uh, you know, it's a blessing because we got all this multiculturalism,
Yeah.
and it's what makes Canada so special. It makes football so special, and you know, we always approached it that it's the inside that counts, and what's up here that counts. And so, you know, I think that just interacting with all these people, it helps with communications, be able to interact with people on a business level too, because when you get to business or you know, you work within the company, it's going to be the same story as a football team. You get every size, every gender, every walk of life, and
Yeah.
you want to be able to interact and freely and you know, without judgment. And you know, so that, you know, that was instilled with us at a young age, I think, and so that's just natural. And you know, I think another thing is a great thing about football is that also translate to business is that whenever I played on a football team, uh, I always played the game so that I'd have the respect of my teammates first. I always want everyone, you know, I'd never want to walk up to practice and you know, people not respect me for like the work and what I do on the field. And and then once you get the respect of your teammates, then you try to get the respect of the whole league. And
Yeah.
you know, I approach business the same way, where you know, first you got to have the respect of your team. Whoever your team is, they must you know, you must approach work with
Yes.
respect, and you don't want to be that weak link in the office kind of deal. But also, you know, when you gain that respect and you become a good team together, then you look for the, you know, the competition in business to respect that brand. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I always you know, that's something I always strive for. You always want to have respect of your team, and then also from the competition.
I think as a leader, what you really said that resonates with me the most is as a leader, your people don't work for you in the business world. You work for your team, right? And that's if you work for your team and you're a servant leader, you get the respect. The entire team is going to elevate their performance, which is the exact same thing in the football field. Where if you feel you have an obligation to work as hard, if not harder than anybody else in the field, everyone's going to get better as a
Yeah,
team, right?
totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no,
and and I think also, like, you know, if you're trying hard and you're doing the best thing you can for your team, and people see that, everybody else also has to pick up their effort, their performance, their attitude has to match. And it's like having that one, you know, bad apple is going to ruin the entire batch. I think, you know, in football, and you've seen this at the big leagues, is if there's bad attitude in the locker room, it's going to affect everyone else, and that's going to
yeah,
translate to bad performance in the field.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think the best way to combat like a bad attitude is to show through leadership and show through example. And then even if someone has a bad attitude, they if you're a real leader and you have the respect of the team, they have to respect you too, even if if they have a bad attitude.
Yeah. How, I think another thing that I really want to get you to comment on is, so Wuxly, as you mentioned, you had, you're going to Sport Check, you had 20 plus retailers ready to go. You were ready to make one of the biggest years in sales in the history of Wuxly. You had everything from a strategic plan to the team, everything lined up, and then COVID hit. How did you pivot? What and how did you not just let things slow you down, let things happen? How did you take control of the situation and led the charge versus be behind the pack?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was scary. It was certainly scary. I kind of, it did sweep us off our feet, in all honesty. You know, the first reaction was a little bit of like, you're kind of just reacting, and then you're reacting, and then you got to get back into entrepreneurial's mindset, because an entrepreneur, you got to be proactive and not always react. Sometimes you got to react, but as an entrepreneur, you always got to be proactive at the same time. And I just kept my ear to the ground, and trying to follow up. I was shooting different stuff out and just trying different ideas. I tried doing a pre-sale just to generate some funds into the business, and it was okay, but consumers just are not buying luxury goods, especially ours, which was more fall and winter based. So I realized, that wasn't gonna be the straw that turned the drink, but kept on going at it, and then just wanted to genuinely want to help. When I saw there was a call out to Canadian manufacturers, just like most Canadian companies, everyone wanted to help in the situation. Well, everyone wanted to be a part of it. You can't ever compare anything to war, but in terms of the back line, I'd say the production stuff, it was wartime efforts for the Canadian manufacturers to be able to produce things that is going to protect people in our country. I think it's in our DNA as Canadians to want to help, and that kind of led us into a good position. And I had a mantra through the out of mentality that one of my friends taught me, that had been through a tough situation before. He said, always get up, never give up. And so I just kept on doing everything, chasing all the leads, and it led to an opportunity to help our country and excel our business.
Always get up, never give up. It sounds so simple, yet you've used it in one of the most leading businesses in Canada that was facing disruption 2 months ago, that you've turned around by simply following one principle, which is to keep going. It's amazing, right? And I think a lot of people, especially when they're younger leaders and they're still in school or they're early on in their career, I think a lot of people think there's a secret weapon, there's a silver bullet where you have to do this analysis, you got these frameworks, these strategies, and then you have to go and analyze all this data. That's great, but if you don't have the drive, such as keep going, do not give up, none of that is going to matter, especially when what you've been doing gets turned around on its head with a thing like COVID.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man.
How did you make your team agile? I know it's very easy to get people, to be very stagnant in their roles and be slow. How are you able to, as you grow, stay agile as a company? Because I think that's a key trait for any business today that needs to survive. So how do you do that?
I think that goes to the old analogy is, you just have to have the right people on the bus. You gotta stick to your guns, core values, and have the right people on the bus, and they're gonna find their seat. And when there's a pivot, that bus turns, they're gonna shake up the bus a little bit, as long as you have good people, they're going to find that seat on the bus and help make sure that we keep driving it. And so that's what we had here. We had some key people on our team just really step up, and it was just it really is a team effort to continue to strive now.
That's a great anecdote. I think having the right people on the bus, even though they might not be in the right seats at some times, as long as you're on the bus,
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
I think that's a great analogy, and I think everybody can really attest to that. And especially in my career on the tech side, I think the biggest reason why teams have done well or why teams have not done well is getting the right people on the bus and instilling the vision and allowing the team to then execute it from a mission standpoint. I think that transition will only happen if you have the right people on the bus that believe in where the bus is going.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're gonna jump off the bus when it's turning, right? So, I think James, what the people that and I get this question asked a lot from younger leaders and everybody from all walks of life is, how do you start a new business when you have no experience? And I think you were a CFO player, and you started something that was totally not anywhere close to what you had been doing for 20 plus years or 30 years of your life. So how did you start like Wuxly? What allowed you to do it? Like, what research did you do? How do you stand it up? Just walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, no, great question. Well, every new business starts from right here. It's a vision, it's an idea. A lot of people have a lot of ideas, but you got to act on the ideas. And so, whatever it is, you got to start just one step at a time. It's grabbing a napkin, putting it down, and really starting to build it out. And it might just start with that, but you got to continuously take the next steps. You don't want to just put it on a napkin, have a good idea, put it away for 3 weeks, and then try to revisit it. It's like, no, you got to keep driving that every day, working the different angles. And then, at some point, some people run without a business plan. We've always wrote a business plan. I've I've had to write 3 business plans this year already because we keep pivoting. It's funny because I was looking to we were looking to acquire a building, and we were looking to at a business plan for 2020 for Wuxly, and I was building it out for 2 months, and I was going to present it to the bank for some funding, and I was driving it, and I'm like, one day I'm like, you know what, I just got to finish this up, and so I spent like 15 hours finishing up these 2 business plans, a business plan with the building, a business plan with Wuxly, and I submitted it one day before COVID hit. So I submitted it to the bank, and they grabbed those papers. They're like, "Thank you. I'm going to put it over here and not read it." And so I spilled my heart and guts into these 40 pages of business plan, and then I'm like, when these opportunities start happening, I'm like, hey, I gotta write another business plan. Great, but luckily I was able to pull some stuff from there, and then create 3 business plans this year. In 5 years of business, still writing business plans.
Yeah, and 2 of them were, basically don't mean anything anymore. And and I think the thing that I've seen, when you started to now, is the ability to be relentless, right? And you realize and you accepted the fact that you're always going to have to write a plan. Your plans will change. A lot of people think, I'm going to write this business plan before I start on this paper, and I'm going to execute that so I can have this amazing startup. What they don't realize is that initial plan is just version 1.0. By the time you build your product, you're going to have 10 different business plans because you iterate on that, right? So
it is a living organism for sure. But the heart, there will be things that are going to change 100% along the way. But I always had fun looking at my business plans when we first started the business. And if you look at some of meat and potatoes of it, and you're like, that stuff's the core of our business. That did not change. We might have, done this and this different, but simple stuff like, hey, we're gonna commit to team. We're gonna commit to. We used to call it a warm conscience. Now our brand mantra is live warm, and it's something we started since day one, and still we use in all settings. It's of business of our business, and so if you can build those core values and really
Yeah.
stick to it, sticking to your guns, and I think that's the most important part of the business plan.
This is a great point. You actually wrote down your values and beliefs for the company on day one as part of your business plan.
Yeah. Yes. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That's the part. Like you got to set the vision, and you could layer that out. But I think that it's important to have the whole why behind the brand, and really stick to your guns on that.
Yeah, I think it helps as you scale, even a one-person team to a 10, 20-person team. I think as you scale, you never want to forget the why behind why you really started what you started,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
the culture is going to be built on something that was totally different than the vision you had, which might not always translate to the business results you're looking for, because it was built on a principle that if you don't keep that on a business plan, or if you don't understand and you don't communicate that, that will change. Which means the people you're going to hire are going to be different than what you initially thought. And the results you're going to be getting might not always align to your initial business plan, right? So I think that's a key point that I think most businesses probably do not put much emphasis on, is always having those values and core beliefs there. Everything else can change, but those need to be there to help you get through tough times.
Certainly.
How, without any experience, James, how did you start Wuxly? Like, I mean, you were a CFO player, but without any experience in terms of, no banking experience, no apparel experience, no experience leading a huge team other than football. How did you start, and what did you learn? Where do you learn all these concepts from?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's just that really the people that I was surrounding myself with, not just friends, but reaching out to people, and always just soaking it up, learning from people. I think, I was a blank slate. Like, I came from a blue collar family, and so, I started the business with my best buddy, who, was a lifetime entrepreneur. And so I thought, he's a good person to start things up with, and kind of learn the ropes a little bit. We were able to get into some of the incubators. Those were super valuable for us. Some of the fashion incubators, the DMZ, downtown Toronto, and the Fashion Zone, and again, build some of the fashion knowledge. And then, people you bring on your team, they bring different skill sets. I was introduced by one person to like the BDC, and there's finance opportunities out there to help expand the business. And so, taking the first loans and stuff like that to build the business. And I think, you keep layering it on over the years, and it doesn't stop. You still got to surround yourself with advisors. Even I don't know when it stops. It probably never stops. But it's always good to have smarts. You want to use collective wisdom in the group, and my team's my advisors too. Like, before I send out emails, I get them to the communication is so important for us, that we emphasize, and get them, hey, should I say it like this, or should I say it like this, and they advise me. And so it takes a village to build a brand, to build an entrepreneur. And so that's what really happened with me.
Yeah, and I think surrounding yourself with great people, always learning, always reaching out to the people, to the right opportunities, and never stopping. Because I know a lot of people think that once you made it stops. You can just coast. I think it never. You're an example, and you just said that. It's like, once you get here, what's next? And if you have the entrepreneurial mindset, it's never going to stop. You have to love what you do enough to enjoy that. Otherwise, it's going to become a burden.
Yeah, It's a journey rather than a destination.
Exactly. Let's go back to your CFL career. I think there's a lot of learnings that I personally also would love to hear about. Walk me through the difference between your year when you had the worst record versus the year when you won the Grey Cup. What was the primary difference between your team and the factors that allowed one team to do average versus one team to win it all?
Yeah, no, I think no, it's a great question. The funny part about that is the team when we had the worst team and the team when we won the championship, they both started with similar record because we won the championship in CFL the Grey Cup. We actually started the year 0-5, so we lost our first 5 games of the season.
Oh, wow.
We knew we had something special, and we kept on believing. Like we'd lose a game, but I remember like going to Montreal and like speaking to the quarterback, speaking to teammates, like, yeah, we lost a game, but we're talking like we're not worried. I'm not worried. Like we still have a good team. You're gonna take some L's along the way, but we knew we had a good team, and we kept on pushing it. And after 5 games, we kicked off like an 11-game win streak. So we totally turned it over, and with each game, we're getting more and more momentum, snowballing. By the end of the year, we'd show up in the game, and we just had so much swagger that we knew already in the warm-ups we won the game. Like when I played the Grey Cup, like there was no stopping us because we are on such a roll.
I remember your team practicing at the same time as we were at the BC Stadium before the Grey Cup, and the swagger you had. Who do you guys? It was Winnipeg you guys faced.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the swagger you had against versus Winnipeg, I can tell the difference. And it's funny you say this because now when I look back, it's actually true. The way your team carried itself, the way you practiced, the way you guys were having fun versus it being a job was something that I did not see in that Blue Bombers team.
No, it's when you're rolling like that, you're having fun. It's something special. You can feel the energy. You can, when you're winning as a company, when you're winning as a team, it's fun to come to work. Everyone's just on it. Everyone's, like I alluded to earlier, you play for the respect for the teammate. We're celebrating together, and that's a winning formula. Conversely, when I played on those other teams, stumbling out of the gates, or actually, I think one of the worst teams of my last season, and we came hot out of the gates. We're 4-2, but you take 1-2 losses, and then people start pointing fingers and why didn't you do this? I was here, and you get this kind of culture building in, and it just starts to like spin out of control, and then you're just showing it up at games, playing for yourself, and not to say that I did it, but like just in a general kind of field, the team, people playing for themselves. Oh, I'm playing for the job now. Or people worrying about their stats and things like that. And I'd say that's the main thing. It all goes back to team and the culture that you create. And so I'd say both those teams were equally as talented. Very similar. But if you don't have that right culture, people playing for each other, it could be a championship season or bottom of the league.
The one thing I think, before we get into a different topic here, Yuri, is what did you do, and what do you remember the leadership of that team, the 2011 Grey Cup winning team, when you guys were down 5 games? How did everyone stay motivated, and how did you make sure you kept the team believing that this is a championship team? It's very easy after 3 games to say, we're done for the season. Let's pack it in. What was different, and what was that X factor that allowed people to still believe that there was this team that can win it all?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was like camaraderie. It's like just the extra things that you do as a team. Like, in football, we would, we'd have like a team. We'd always meet for like a team lunch the day before the game. We would, after the game, always the best teams I play with were always celebrating together as a team. When I played for the not so good team, there's like these little micro packs of people who would hang out, and this guy would go over this spot out, and when we play for the good team, we're at the after a game, we're all in the same bar, we're all cheersing each other, but on the other, there's these micro packs that go over here, and I think building a great culture is so much, doing stuff in the office too, but also looking at some things to build that culture outside the office. And that's one of the toughest things of COVID right now. It's tough to build that culture because everyone's working from home, and so I think one of the things that we're doing, like we get all the PPE and stuff, we keep everyone safe, but like we still try to get everyone in, twice a week or 3 times a week and in a safe environment. And mentally, it's just great to be with other humans that you like, and I think that's helping our situation as a company right now. We still have that camaraderie building.
I think the key takeaway here, that if I had to summarize this, James, which is one team, one dream. The moment either of those things change, you're not going to be able to come back out of that hole, right? That's a great way to put it, man. I know we're ending our time here, James. Before we go, I think the message that everybody here would love to hear is, if somebody is, imagine there's a room full of people right now listening. If everybody in this room is, they have a business idea, or they want to start a new career, or they're looking to start a new chapter in their life, but they do not have the direct experience, they do not understand all the details about what they're going to have to do, and they don't have the right support, or they don't really have all the everything figured out. What's one piece of advice that you would give this group of people so they can go ahead and take action and make their dreams come true?
I would say now, act immediately. Now is the best time to start a business. Now is a time, even when $100 million company may know almost just as much of what's going to be in 2 years from now as you do. So now is a time where there's going to be changing of the guards. If you want to drive it, if you want to take it home, now is your opportunity to do so. It's a time in the world where it's tough. Everyone's being challenged in new ways. And there's 2 ways to approach it. You feel sorry for yourself. You can sleep in every day till 12 o'clock without judgment. You can take this path of being content, or you really drive and you really push yourself and you go after something, because there's stuff out there up for grab, because we don't know what this world's going to be in 6 months, in 12 months, in 3 years. Now's the time to do it.
The opportunities out there are endless, and until you try, you're never going to know what's out there. Thank you.
That's my pleasure. Awesome. No, I got to do another show where I interview you, because you focused on me today, but you've done quite a great career, and when I reconnected, I was just so proud to be your buddy and seeing all the great things you've done, Tanvir. So thanks for having me on the show. And I'm still jealous of your national championship. That's the toughest one to. In the CFL, there's only 8 or 9 teams, but there's 30 teams going for it. So I'm gonna have to hear some more stories about that next time we get on here.
It means a lot, James. I remember since high school, you've seen as a role model. So, the reason I went and played a MAC was, in a lot of ways, thanks to you. So thank you for everything. Thank you for coming on the show, and really appreciate it, and best of luck this year. And I'm sure Wuxly's going to keep growing.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me out here.
Thanks a lot, James. Buddy. Talk soon, buddy.
Talk to you.
Team, remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend, and visit tanvirbhangoo.com for a ton of free content and exercises.